What the fuck is this about then, huh?
Are you really angry, mate? It's about the rules. This is a voice note only group. Yeah? I thought you was meant to be the clever one. Clever my fucking arse.
Just woke up from a lovely, lovely sleep. I'm going to get up and I'm going to do a cup of tea and a bowl of crunchy nut cornflakes.
Right, Adam and Jordan.
Welcome to the Claret and Booze WhatsApp voice note group.
This is John's baby, so he's going to drive the conversation. I'm going to let him lay out what the format is and what we're going to be doing today. These are good, they're fun. Gives you time to sort of think and consider your answer and stuff like that. We've done them before. Equality. John, over to you.
John, if you don't kick us off, I'm going to start putting text messages in there just to piss you off.
Fucking open it. Come on, where are you? I bet he's dropping someone to Pimlico or something.
No reception where I am. Internet failed, so I've only just seen all of this. But yeah, welcome you two muppets and the rest of the motley crew to the Claret and Booze voice note only WhatsApp group. So basically, once a week we're going to do hot topics or just any topics regarding West Ham and or football, but West Ham related somewhere. And we'll ask some questions and we'll just go through and discuss it. Each have your own voice notes, talk as much or as little as you want. Try and keep the voice notes down to nothing above a minute. It's just a good way of doing a very good show where people see interaction on a WhatsApp group. You might not want to see your face on there. Some of you are ugly fuckers, let's be honest. You got a face for radio, as they say. So yeah. So the next voice note that I do will be the first topic. And it's going to be a little fun one, a little bit of a dig at our friends over in North London. Yeah, I'll get this going next with the next voice note. So yeah, take your time, no rush. As I say, speak as much or as little as you want, do as many voice notes as you wish, but there will be a cut-off point at some point, and then we can get the show released later tonight or this evening. All right, cheers, boys, girls, whatever. Well, what can we say? North London forever. Forever what? Forever failing? Forever winning fuck all? I mean, let's be honest, Declan Rice has, he dug himself into a massive hole, really. Little bit like Ange saying, mate, it's what I do. Always win a trophy in my second season. Declan Rice went to Arsenal to win trophies. It looks like the second season is going to go as the first did even. Trophyless. Unless they win the Premier League, which I can't see. And unless they win the Champions League, which I also honestly can't see. So, what do we reckon? Declan Rice, come back to West Ham to win your second trophy anytime soon, lad? Especially with the way things are looking at the minute, we're on the up.
You reap what you sow. He's gone from being the most loved player for West Ham, the most adored player, to just a number at Arsenal, somebody that they do not appreciate. In fact, is he their record signing? Because that's just put a load of pressure on his shoulders. And if you listen to the wider, certainly the social media Arsenal audience, they're not pleased with Declan Rice. They're blaming him. They don't think they've improved since he's come in. Change their style of play, slow them down. So, yeah, I don't think that's true, by the way. But, yeah, he's certainly not got the same relationship with Arsenal fans as he had with West Ham. Oh, how the mighty have fallen.
North London forever.
I mean, he's gone to Arsenal to go and win trophies, hasn't he? But let's be realistic. Did he really think he was going to win the Premier League and the Champions League? Because Arsenal came out of nowhere that season before he went, which they came close to winning the league. But I think that was a one-off because they ain't been that great since. So he's literally gone to Arsenal to win either the League Cup or the FA Cup, which potentially he could have got at West Ham anyway. So, but if they don't appreciate him, that's their loss. At the end of the day, we know how good he was for us. And it just makes me laugh, mate, how both them and Tottenham are suffering. I fucking love it. It would be funny if Tottenham did beat Arsenal to a trophy, but at the same time, I don't want Tottenham to win a trophy. So both of those situations fucking suck. Um, and then I don't really want Newcastle to win the trophy either, or Liverpool. So the rest of the teams that was in that tournament, yeah, it's pretty shit, isn't it, really? But I suppose out of everyone, if Tottenham do go through, it's got to be Newcastle, hasn't it? That we want to win, not fucking Tottenham. They can't win a trophy.
I just hate their entitlement. It's like they didn't buy. They need a striker. They didn't buy one in this window, did they? If they was going to push on, because there's an opportunity for them to chase Liverpool down. There is, but all that geezer does seem to spend money on Arteta is just like midfielders. He loves midfielders. I mean, Kai Havertz. What's the song? How's it go, John? 50 million down the drain. Kai Havertz scores again. Fucking embarrassing, isn't it? And they think that they can just go and get Isaac from Newcastle. Yeah, because they're going to let him go, aren't they? That's going to happen.
Just changing the subject, but I've just read an article about the first Chelsea goal that they scored. And, you know, obviously it should have been a foul. We know it should have been a foul on Bowen. But Premier League released a statement to say why the goal was given from the offside perspective, and saying that there was no clear evidence. Now, I can appreciate it was difficult to see whether or not that geezer did touch the ball and Cucurella was offside. However, they failed to mention the decision to not award the free kick or for VAR to intervene. I believe it was down to the referee's discretion of how long he wanted to take or how far back to go and determine whether that was still the first phase, which we know it was. However, can we talk about how corrupt the fucking Premier League is with referees? Because I'm sick to death of it. Really am.
Yeah, it drives me fucking mad, mate. It does. How can that be down to the on-field referee's discretion? How far they go back? That's mad because it weren't that far back. I appreciate it was a different transition of play, but it weren't really when you think about it. The foul led to their counter-attack. So if that foul had have rightly been given, he was rugby tackled, then they would never have had that opportunity anyway. They wouldn't have. So I don't even think it's talking about the offside with Cucurella, because fair enough, it was difficult to see, but I thought that you could see a change in spin on that ball, which kind of proved it came off the Chelsea players' heads. But how many times in the past have we had this, especially with Chelsea? We've had so much bad luck with officiating against them. It's sickening. Was it Cornet's goal? Oh, mate, it drives me mad.
Yeah, it was Cornet's goal. And the referee that was on VAR at that time, Stuart Atwell, was the referee from the other day. So that needs looking into, because that's a bit suspect in my opinion. Because, yeah, you're right. Why can the referee decide how far back the phase goes, you know? And as soon as they went to VAR, I knew for a fact it was going to be given. There was no way going to overturn that, because at that time, obviously Chelsea wasn't creating much, were they? You know, they were struggling to break us down. And as soon as that first goal went in, we all knew the momentum was going to change. And that's what's important in the game. You know, we was holding our own, doing well, stopping them from creating chances and what have you. But as soon as they scored the goal, I knew that it was game over. And the referee allowed it to happen, which is fucking bullshit, because it's just not fair. They always favour the so-called Big Six. And that's another thing that we can talk about, the Big Six and how bullshit that is. Because why the fuck are Tottenham in a Big Six just because they've got a big stadium? What do they fucking do? We've got a big stadium and it's a shithole. But they don't win fuck all. They've been in the Champions League final. Fair enough. But that's about it. Man United have got history, big brand, obviously, which is why the Premier League love them. But in terms of actually performances and what they do, they know fuck all for years. So in my opinion, mate, it's not a Big Six anymore. It's a Big Four, isn't it?
One for me that had on that decision, because like the offside thing's the offside thing, but I just wonder, before VAR, would that decision have been given? Because, like I said on the show, all eyes were on it because it was right up where the ball was. It just seems odd to me, very odd. I think it's just unconscious bias. They see the badge on the shirt, you know what I mean? And back to what you said, Arsenal thought they could just go into St James's Park and get Alexander Isak. Who do they think they are, mate? I think Newcastle are in a better place than Arsenal. Maybe not in the position in the league, but I think it's more fun playing for Newcastle, isn't it? What a player, though, that guy looks. I mean, there's nothing of him. You know, he ain't. He's very slightly built. I mean, he bullied Saliba and Gabriel last night. You know, two of the best centre backs in the Premier League, if not the world. Great centre back partners, and he made them look. He made them look shocking. They were absolutely bullied by Isaac. Whereas if you look at the other end, Havertz, bloody hell, useless.
Yeah, like going onto that like Chelsea goal, it was it was a foul on Bowen all day long. But then like the thing that pissed me off though was when Chelsea fans when we scored against Chelsea, it was the other way around. Like Chelsea fans were saying it was a foul on Levi Colwill. No, it weren't. He just nicked the ball off him, and then just goes through to score. Like if you actually look at the footage, Bowen, it's a categorical foul. Like it's a shove in his back. It's not even side. It's not even shoulder to shoulder. It's a shove in the back.
Yeah, bang on, mate. It was the most blatant of fouls. It really was, and I don't think it's unconscious bias, John. I think it's completely. They know what they're doing. It happens too frequently for it to be a coincidence. I think they don't even try and hide it anymore. They don't, and I think VAR is almost there to enforce it even more. Do you know what I mean? With regards to the Arsenal one though, and Isak, I don't know who they think they are, because the only reason that Newcastle are not currently blowing Arsenal out the water in terms of buying players is because they're restricted with PSR. They don't have to sell. There's no offer that's too good to turn down to the Saudis, and they're having a laugh. They could bid 150 million, and that geezer will still go, no, ain't going to happen. But we're going to offer him 300 grand a week. All right, we'll offer him 600. They've got a bottomless pit of money. I don't know who they think they are.
Totally blatant. It was more befitting of the Six Nations rugby championships currently going on. Do you know what I mean? You'd see that sort of thing at Murrayfield. I just think on-field officials, are just getting lazy. They don't make the decisions because they think VAR are going to get involved and help them, or whatever as the case may be. It is ridiculous, mate. It is ridiculous. Yeah. Anyway, Arsenal ain't going to win nothing again, eh? Imagine that.
Yeah, like I said before, I forgot how lucky Chelsea are against us. Every time, there always seems to be something happening that goes in Chelsea's favour. That's how it seems. Going back to the Rice talk a little bit, I feel no ill towards Rice. I really don't. And I think it's a bit sad, really, that how he's, I wouldn't say demised, but the stick in that he's getting. We know how good Rice is. That's a generational talent. He's immense in the role that he usually plays. So I find it a little bit sad, really. Do you know what I mean? For Rice's sake, not Arsenal's sake. Fuck them. And fuck Chelsea and fuck Spurs. Good, you guys.
How do you think West Ham fans would be with Declan Rice if he was to come back and hold his hands up and say, listen, I made the wrong decision. I'll come back because obviously, you know, my plan to win trophies failed. Do you reckon West Ham fans would ever accept him back?
There's no way, though, Rice will ever say that publicly. No chance. He would never say that. But for me, personally, I'd love to see him back. I'd love to see Rice back.
I'd take Declan Rice back when he's 44, mate. I love the geezer. I know some people don't like the fact that he left, but he did have to leave. He wanted to play Champions League football. Sometimes when they say I want to win trophies, what they really mean is I want to play in the big competitions. So Champions League football. He won't be there forever. I've always wished him success, but not when he's playing for Arsenal. So when he leaves Arsenal and goes to, I don't know, let's say on the Trickford, or if he goes there at all, but I want him to win stuff. When he's at Arsenal, I don't want him to win nothing.
Yeah, I'm with you, Mick, in one respect, right? I don't hate Declan Rice. I don't.
I mean, I was incredibly irritated that he left for Arsenal. If he'd have gone to Man City, I wouldn't have been bothered. I would have understood it. It was the fact he went to Arsenal that really annoyed me. And I'm enjoying the fact that it ain't coming off for him because that was long planned. It was long planned. And if he was to come back to West Ham, I'd love him again. I would. But I don't want him to succeed at Arsenal. And I don't think it's sad that he's failing and they're blaming him because I think he's a bit of he's a like a PR trained player. He's a bit of a politician. And I think he sort of played us a little bit. I don't blame him for leaving because we all know that West Ham are a shit show. But going to Arsenal and saying all the stuff that he said as well, like we're taking the piss out of him now. Oh, left to win trophies, you know, and the comments when he in the first week or 2 weeks when he was there and he's been interviewed by Arsenal TV and he went, I just never knew this was what football was all about, you know. I'm only starting to sort of really learn about football now, completely dismissing the team that and fans, because we had input into that by our adulation. That gives him all the confidence. That platform turned him into £100 million player, and he has not improved since he left us. I don't care what anyone says. He is not a better player now than what he was when he was at West Ham. In fact, he was better at West Ham. He was. He should come home, and I would love him again. We all make mistakes.
Yeah, same for me. Like I say, when Rice was leaving, I had no issue with that or no drama with that whatsoever. My issue was that he'd go to Arsenal. I wouldn't have cared if he went to City, if I'm perfectly honest with you. And I was kind of hoping he would, rather than Arsenal, or even a foreign club. Like I know he was linked with Bayern at the time. I would have loved for him to go abroad, just so that other fans couldn't rub it in our noses. And that's what I hate about Arsenal fans. They're so entitled, and that's why they call it the Declan Rice derby now.
He went to Arsenal because I have an irrational hatred of Arsenal because I've got like 30 odd cousins all from North London, fucking Arsenal, who just give me stick all my life. But now I'm going to sing them a lovely new song, a reinvention of the North London Forever song. Ready? London forever, win trophies never. Our cupboard is bare.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I do get that, and I can understand it as well. But where realistically, where else is he going to go? Like, we all know that he's an own body. He loves being around his family. So you've got to stay in London. He's never going to go Spurs. And Chelsea was on the demise at the time. So Arsenal was the top team in London, like it or not. So for me, it was no surprise that he went Arsenal. And again, what do you expect him to say about a new club? You know, like if we got a player come in and they started bigging up their old club more than their new club, I don't really blame him. I really don't blame him in a way. Maybe that's just because the love that I got for Declan Rice. I don't know. But I just don't really blame him for anything, in all honesty. I think that it's a move that he would have had to make to progress his career. Has he worked out like that? Not at the moment, but Arsenal are a bigger team than West Ham. It's horrible to say, but it's true.
I have to say as well, Nick, like that was also a kick in the nuts. I remember his like first game and he starts singing North London Forever. First of all, what a fucking shit song. But also, you know, have some fucking respect to the club you just come from.
So what do we think about Arteta then? I mean, apart from being a snivelling little shit, Jason Cundy on TalkSport refers to Arsenal as whinge and cringe FC. I think that's fucking so true. I mean, they moan about everything, don't they? I think even last night, I think the Newcastle fans were singing, what was they singing? They were singing something to Arteta about the ball. Oh, for fuck's sake. But it was hilarious. They were just giving him stick about his comments about not using the ball or some bollocks in the last game. But, yeah, mate, look, they're on the floor, mate. They ain't winning nothing. They're off to Dubai now. Woo, weather training to come back and finish second if they're lucky. You know what I mean? Can't stand them, mate. I cannot stand them. Don't mind Newcastle. I've got to be honest with you. I don't mind Newcastle at all. So, yeah, interesting.
Yeah, Jordan, I don't even disagree with that either. I don't disagree with it. It's just hard when you're at a new club. You know, you want the fans on side, you want the players on side. So you're gonna build up to that, ain't you? You know what I mean? You're gonna say stuff that is gonna upset your old fans along the way of doing it. Maybe there was a better way of doing it. I don't know, but again, there's any disloyal or dislove for West Ham from his side. Just think that he was, as Nick said, it's like a PR professional player who wanted to get his new club on side. I guess, I don't know.
You can speak in a way that is complimentary to your new club, Mick, without being dismissive of your old club. The way that he said what he said was dismissive of West Ham. Saying I've only just started learning about football is an insult to West Ham. That's not right. And he knows what he's saying. Like I said, he's PR trained. It was all about blowing smoke up the Arsenal fan base's arses. And I get you've got to do that, as you're saying. He's of course got to get the Arsenal fans on side. You ain't got to do that by shitting on your previous club, though. And those comments did. I'm sorry. As far as I'm concerned, they did. I didn't like it.
He spent £800 million and have gone absolutely nowhere. He won an FA Cup in his first season. But that wasn't even with his squad. That was with the previous manager's squad. He got rid of all them players after the FA Cup win. Works well for you, innit, Arteta? Mate, he'll always be in Pep's shadow. Don't care if they beat City 5-1 at the weekend. Have a bit of humility, mate. Have a bit of respect for that Man City team that have won absolutely everything. What is it? 6 Premier League titles, a Champions League title. What have you won, mate? What have you won?
I can't stand Arteta. Can't stand Arteta. He's a fuck nut. I can't stand him. Honestly, little whingy mug. Yeah, that's it.
Predominantly under David Moyes. And even you said Moyes was anti-football. So maybe that comment was a dig at Moyes in a roundabout way rather than the club. Anyway, we digress. We digress. He ain't getting a trophy there anytime soon. Moving on. How about the it's good news, really. I mean, I think it shows that we're becoming a bit more of a professional outfit. You got Fulkrug and Antonio out in our Dubai rehabilitation centre. You know, a rehabilitation centre that the club have got a relationship with. So it looks like now we're sending players to Saudi to get fit and get fit quicker. Because if you believe what you read, they're both Fulkrug and Antonio are they're on course to return sooner than was first estimated. So maybe the level of professionalism of West Ham has gone up. Maybe Potter has realised player welfare, both physically and psychologically, is of massive importance.
No, I agree with that, John. I do agree with that because I do remember that when he come out and said that, we did say, I don't know if we'd done a show on it or something, but we did say, look, that's a clear dig at Moyes' brand of football. We did say that at the time. But also, if I'm being honest, I didn't really see a lot of Declan Rice's interviews and that he had when he first went to Arsenal. I didn't want to see it either, to be fair to you. I was gutted. I weren't fuming about it because he was expected, but I was gutted. But yeah, I do think that was more of a dig at Moyes and Moyes ball than the fans. For me, I just don't believe that he would do that to the fans in a spiteful way. No way. He loves us fans.
It's just the arrogance for me. It's just the pure arrogance. Like Arteta, like fucking Gashburton Army, like AFTV. Like they're all as bad as each other. The players just whinging when it just doesn't go their way, just like little school kids. Like it really, really fucks me off. Just how they expect to get it their way, but they don't like it when it goes against them.
FTV, eh? I mean, imagine having a YouTube channel based around the team you support. What a bunch of bastards!
Yeah, that's lovely to go to Dubai, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? Get injured at work and go and have a lovely holiday in Dubai. I wish all phones were like that. Fucking hell.
I fucking hate Arsenal. I really do. I think I hate them more than Spurs now, and that's saying something. But yeah, moving on to the the training camp. I think that's a big boy move, and I think that's something that Potter's done. He's come in and he's identified that he's all about player welfare, isn't he? You know, he's quite professional. So if you listen to any sort of testimonials from ex-players that are recovering from long-term injuries, they all talk about the struggles of mental health when they're sitting in a little fucking room looking out the window at all their colleagues training. Also, you've got the issue of players like Masuaku and Sadibo going back to France to do their recovery. You've got no visibility on what they're doing. So this is actually a really good thing to take them out of the environment, probably with their families, to go on a program, warm weather program in, you know, Dubai with all the facilities that you could want. It's a real big boy move, and it's definitely instigated by Potter. That's a big tick and a big move forward for us, in my opinion.
You know for sure that over there, they'll have the best of everything. Best facilities, best equipment, great environment, all the right food, all the right advice. You know, you get what you pay for over there. Do you know what I mean? So it's massive. I mean, we've always had problems with players getting injured, as every club, but they get injured and it just goes on forever, or they disappear to their country of origin or something. I mean, Cornet, I mean, where did he go? No one knew where he was. What's the bloody Marco Bogas living in the caravan? So, yeah, I think it's massively important. I think it's a great move. Great move. Mick, listen, mate, you ain't going to be sent over there being a postie, lad. Oh, I've got a paper cut on my finger. Can I go to Dubai? No, Mickey, you can't. Yeah? No, I agree, Nick. It's massive, mate. And let's be honest, it's better than the Porter Cabin Rehabilitation Centre at Rush Green, isn't it?
I'd be getting injured every other week, Nick. I'd be going into every two-footed tackle, coming out of it unscathed, thinking, fucking hell, what have I got to do?
Yeah, with this warm weather camp, the way I see it is it's not all about rehab. It's going to be similar to when we did that one before the Conference League final. I think it was in Portugal, but essentially just getting the players to bond and gel together. You know, because we got 2 weeks off now. They could have just let the players just kind of, you know, linger and loiter and just, you know, do their own thing. But nah, it's they've got them away, and they're going to build them and bond them as a team more. I think it's brilliant.
Mate, you never made a tackle in your life. You was some sort of flamboyant winger stroke substitute. So I don't know what you're on about, lad.
No, Jordan, it's not for the team. This is purely for players that are recovering from injury. This ain't a bonding session. This is for players that are they've got long-term injuries. We send them out there to basically recover. That's what it's for. So it is different, and I think it's a big move. I don't know whether other clubs do it. It's not something I've heard of, but it's definitely positive, especially when you consider the environment that we've got at Rush Green, where I think the recovery facility is in the same fucking building as a training facility. So you're there with your colleagues, but they're all training, having a laugh, and you've got someone rubbing your thigh. I mean, that sounds all right, to be honest. But yeah, I wouldn't mind a thigh rub. And shut up, John. Fucking hell. Every time you went down the ground, you broke your ankle. You had because you got wankles, that's why. But I must admit, you did make some good last-ditch blocks. That was a feature of your game, sort of throwing your body on the line. I do remember that, throwing your body in the way of shots and stuff like that. But other than that, you know, you're very Suchek-esque. You know, you're a box player, wouldn't you? You know, that's what I thought. Whereas, you know, like you said, I'd a little bit of flair and spark in my game. Oh, those were the days, weren't they? Fucking hell. Seems like a lifetime ago. Playing over Mile End, climbing through the only AstroTurf.
So who's closest now to being back fit? Because you've got Fulkrug's out. Obviously, Somerville's been extended his injuries. He's going to be longer out. So who you got? Is it got to be Tadibo, isn't it?
Sorry, I'm just standing naked in the shower before I record this one. So Tadibo's back, apparently. Paqueta's back. Alvarez is back. The injury list now is Somerville for 2 months. Fulkrug was due back in April, but now they're saying late March. He's ahead of schedule. Antonio's also ahead of schedule, but he ain't going to be back this season. So yeah, Somerville, Fulkrug, Antonio.
Things are no-brainer. I mean, you've got to protect your assets. You know, whether we like it or not, The players need protecting. They're the club's assets, and that's every club. You know, you're only as good as your players. You need to look after your players. They're your engine. You know, they make things happen. You've got to look after them. I mean, someone like Suchek, he'll never go to Dubai. He never gets fucking injured. He's not a fucking machine. Love him or hate him, right? As a technical player, that geezer, he could run through a brick wall, and the brick wall would be worse off than him. You know what I mean? He's a fucking machine. Physical, absolute physical beast, man. It does amaze me. And his face as well. Jesus. Actually, Nick, you remind me of Suchek a lot. Like the looks. Yeah.
Yeah, that can't be contested with Suchek. My God, he's unbreakable, isn't he? That's probably the reason why managers love him so much, though, because it must be a testament. It can't just be genetics. It's got to be conditioning and hard work. He must be a model professional in that way. Do you know what I mean? I've got my pants back on now. Don't worry. He must be a model professional because no one else would have this. I swear he's never. Has he actually had? I know he's had like concussion protocols and stuff like that. Has he actually had an injury? I can't remember. Like it's 5 years now. He ain't, is he? Fucking hell. Yeah, just won't get injured. He won't. Just refuses to get injured. Right, now look, very quickly. Suchek, we're going to talk about the giraffe in the room. Brentford, we know that we've got almost a full-strength team. So ignore the defence, but the midfield, you've got Alvarez, Paqueta, Bowen and Kudus with Ferguson up front, Wan-Bissaka and Emerson wide. You've also got Soler, and we've got Alford, and we've got players like that. Does any of those players drop out for Suchek? Are we going to be benching a big player? Because they're all big, Alvarez, Bowen, Kudus and Paqueta. Do any of them get benched for Suchek against Brentford? Talk to me.
Yeah, for me, I think what I'd like to see Potter play a single pivot. I'd like to see Alvarez start over Suchek, especially like with the form he's been on. I would, however, though, if we were a goal down, or if indeed we were trying to defend the lead, I would bring on Suchek for that like aerial threat. And obviously Alvarez probably normally puffs out about 60, 70 plus minutes. So fresh legs, I'd bring Suchek on probably the last 20 minutes. Yeah, just one on that as well. I forgot to mention, obviously Alvarez, the Mexican thug. If he ends up getting gets a booking as well, he'll have to come off for Suchek. The man can't handle just being on one yellow. He needs to be on two.
Right, now, Jordan, I'm going to ask you something, right? And I'm not taking the piss because I've also used this term and I don't really know what it means. What do you mean by pivot? Because what I mean when I say a pivot is you've got two players in like a partnership situation and they take turns between a 6 and an 8. What is a pivot? Definitely, what is a single pivot? I don't know. And like I said, I've used the same terminology, but I don't actually know what it means. What does it mean? Does it mean like you're on one leg, spinning round, pivoting? John couldn't do that; it'd break his ankle.
No, I know what you mean. So like it's just essentially just one holding midfielder instead of two. And the reason why I say that is because we've seen Suchek and Alvarez try and work together in the past, and they just don't work together. They actually work better on their own. So that's what I say by that.
Yeah, but I love this version of Alvarez. You know, you can see that Potter's come in and he's told each of those players to be themselves. So Paqueta's gone back to being flamboyant. He's motivated. Alvarez has gone back to being a nutcase. All that needs to happen is we just need to manage him. He rarely gets straight reds. Do you know what I mean? So when he's on a yellow, because he is all or nothing, I want that version of Alvarez, and then we just have to manage a situation. When he's on a yellow, you hook him off, I think. You know, what we were seeing under Loppe was, and Moyes, to a degree, they were moaning about him, you know, they didn't want him committing, they didn't want him being that bulldog that he is. Whereas now he's found his inner El Machine. I love it. Love it.
Just one on that, Nick, as well. Obviously, because we've got Evan Ferguson now, and don't forget we've also got James Ward-Prowse. you forgot to mention them. How do you foresee them fitting in Graham Potter's plan?
Also, going back to your point about the single pivot in midfield, yes, 100%. Alvarez sitting deep as a single CDM is all we need against Brentford, they're a counter-attack team and they are comfortable without the ball, and it's going to be down to us to take the game to them. So I think we're going to need to take a few risks in this one, and we've got the players to make the most of those risks. It isn't like it shouldn't be risk, no reward. It should be, high risk, high reward football against Brentford. You got of course there is a risk that they're going to score on a counter. They often do, but we can beat them quite easily if we play the right way, I think. James Ward-Prowse. I think he's going to be used from the bench, to be honest. I do, and that's not me being nasty. If you look at our team when they're fully fit, there's no space. I'll be honest with you. If our team is fully fit, and I see a midfield partnership of Jedward, of Souček and James Ward-Prowse, I mean, it's going to be one of them where it better fucking work, because I won't be happy with that. I'll be honest. I'm going to be openly honest now. If he's got every player available and we play Souček and James Ward-Prowse and it don't work, I will be pissed, mate. I'm going to say that much now. I don't really want to see that. I do think he'll play a part, but not a starting role. Certainly not both. You can't have him and Souček. We've seen it don't work. They're too fucking slow.
I think the factors now you've got to think of, is that we have an actual coach now, i.e. Potter, rather than Lopetegui and obviously Moyes. You actually have a coach, he might be able to get the best out of a partnership with Ward-Prowse in it. It also goes back to, it depends what formation that he's going to play. Is he going to play 3 at the back? Is he going to have 5 midfielders? So there might be space in the team for him. It would give us, especially if Skull starts in front of Cresswell, it will give us a threat from set pieces, certainly from corners, maybe free kicks.
Don't see him dropping Souček yet for a couple of reasons. He's been giving him the captain's armband in recent games. I don't think Ferguson will be thrown straight in. I know you said it's a couple of weeks away till our first game, or his first game potentially. I don't think he'll start Ferguson just yet. I think he will in the end, in the long run. And I like Paqueta further forward. He's been good further forward. You know what I mean? With all due respect, any of them could start ahead of Souček, but I just think, like you said, Potter likes Souček. Every manager loves Souček. I love Souček as a person. You can't question his, desire and the way he fights for that fucking club and all that. But technically, not great. We know that. But that's besides the point. I just can't see him dropping Souček and bringing Ferguson in for the first game. Might be wrong, you know what I mean? But we'll see. Press, he'd definitely be a squad player, but it's not a bad squad player to have, is it? You want depth in your squad. You need to look at your bench and go, a couple of kids and a lot of experience. That's what you want. I mean, it ain't a bad thing to have him on the bench, is it? So,
Mate, but this is a problem that I've had with James Ward-Prowse and Souček. You can't afford to carry midfielders because you might be a threat from a set piece. Souček is good in either box, and there's nothing in the middle. There's not. I don't think you can afford to be a top flight team that wants to push on for things and have midfielders that you're carrying because of their threat from set pieces. I certainly can't have 2 of them. I know Ward-Prowse is better than that. He's a technical player, but look, maybe you'll prove me wrong. Maybe you're right. Maybe good coaching and a style of play that doesn't mean that you need pace in the middle. Maybe we can get the best out of it. But there is another angle in this as well. We've seen Alford being brought into the team. James Ward-Prowse coming back probably blocks further development of Alford this season. That's what it does. I don't think you'll be seeing any more of Alford coming on the pitch now. Now we've got James Ward-Prowse back. And we're all saying this is a pre-season and James Ward-Prowse is likely to be sold in the summer. So it's a strange one for me. He won't even get in on Nottingham Forest bench in the end. He couldn't even get on their bench. And they're doing well, but they're Nottingham Forest, They're having one of them shit-house seasons where they've got a solid defence and they're being effective on the counter. They're not playing anyone off the park. He couldn't get near their bench.
I don't see how he starts for us.
I don't think Potter will be obsessed with the set piece thing like Moyes was, because, you know, obviously Moyes was. I don't think Potter will be thinking along those lines, mate, at all. He's super aggressive to think like that. I mean, set pieces, yes, they are important, etc. But you don't want to pin all your hopes on that, do you? Let's be honest. Massively with Jordan, I've said it before, we have a coach now, and whereas somebody like Lopetegui and David Moyes couldn't polish a turd, I think potentially Potter could polish a turd. I think he's one of them blokes who can get the best out of everybody, no matter their limitations. I think he is. He comes across like a likable character. The interviews I've seen, he's astute. He speaks well. He's calm. You know, it's all tick boxes for me, and particular in the modern world of football, where players generally in the main, you know, they want an arm around their shoulder rather than a rollicking. I think he's going to be the man to get the best out of a lot of these big part players. I mean, we've seen it already. I mean, since Cresswell's been bracking, I think Cresswell's been good. And so has Soufal. They've done their jobs. He's coaching them. He's getting his message across. They're buying into him. He's buying into them. And he's getting the most out of them, most definitely.
I agree. He would be more capable of polishing a turd than Moyes or Lopetegui. But why polish turds when you can put better players in the team? What I'm saying is, if you've got no other options, in the middle of the park, you've got a maximum 4 spaces. We're only ever going to play one forward. And we know that those 2 of the midfield spaces are advanced players. That will be Kudus or Bowen or Souček, depending on whether he plays Bowen up front. You can't be playing James Ward-Prowse deep. We've seen it. He's a disaster. So I don't see why you would. You would get more out of him, but why would you bother when you've got better options? And we know we've got better options. So absolutely, he will probably do better with those players than our previous managers. But my question would be, why polish a turd? They're smelly.
Fucking hell, I come away from my phone for an hour and I come back and I'm just trying to listen to all these bloody messages. Where do I start? Right, so Arteta, absolute cunt. Can't stand him. John's right, he's in Pep's shadow. Warm weather training or whatever it is, recovery, spot on, perfect. That's what we need to do. Be more professional. Souček, absolute machine. The guy just won't get injured. As much as he annoys me with his lack of technical ability, he does offer something. We know what, however little it may be, but you know, he does a job, and obviously managers love him. Of course they do. Regarding this weekend, not this weekend, sorry, next weekend. Yeah, I can't see Souček being dropped personally. I think Potter loves him.
I'm not saying you don't put better players in if you've got them available, but what I mean is when you've got injuries, when you've got tiredness, when you've got fatigue, when you've got suspensions, I'm not as bothered about the weaker players coming in, particularly through what I've seen thus far. Again, going back to Cresswell, you know, squad players who are technically over the hill, still knowing their job, still being coached and still being coached well. So it doesn't fill me with the same dread. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, no. I'm fully on board with that, John. Fully on board with that, mate. We've seen it with Soufal and Cresswell. When we need players to come in, they know their job. And he seems to be able to put players in and play them in a way that doesn't exploit their weaknesses, and it kind of promotes their strengths, which is good. I mean, Cresswell and Soufal both look good, haven't they? And they haven't been exploited for pace, really, you know. So, yeah, I would definitely have faith in him on utilising squad players. My point is, I think that James Ward-Prowse in particular is a squad player, and I do feel that he's blocked the pathway for the further development of Alford this season. I do believe that. But, you know, it's an option. It's another option that we can bring on from the bench. I definitely don't see him starting, personally. Especially going back to what Adam said there, he loves Souček. Well, we're going to see how much he does love him, or whether it was just words, because he's got other players that he needs to keep happy for the summer. So we'll see whether or not Souček is in his long-term plans based on what he does for the rest of the season. Because, yeah, obviously he said he loves him. He would have been a dream signing. Yeah, we'll see. I'm keen to see what he does when he's got all of his available players, and then I'll see what he does with the lineup, what the outcome is, and then I'll make my judgment on that.
Blocking the pathway for Orford, but I'll be honest with you, the little I've seen of Orford thus far, I don't think he's ready just yet. Not saying he won't be, but centre midfield is an engine room. Games are won and lost in centre midfield. It's a hard position to come into in the Premier League and hit the ground running, I think, as a youngster. You can get away with it in other positions to some extent, but I think centre midfield's tough, you know what I mean?
John, I 100% agree. I was going to literally say this a minute ago, put a bit of controversy into the group, because I was going to say that regarding Orford, from what I've seen of him, he doesn't seem like he's ready. He doesn't fill me with that much confidence like Skulls had done since he's come in, like Earthy did when he came in. He came in and done bits, even Guillermo, when he's come in with the little amount of minutes that he's played, he's shown more than what Orford does. Now, I'm sure, and I don't keep up to date with the under 21 games, I don't watch them, but I'm sure Orford is obviously top quality in that respect. But stepping up to the first team, and like you say, in that centre midfield role is a completely different kettle of fish. So has he blocked him from Orford progressing? I don't know, because like what you say, from what we've seen of him, he hasn't really impressed that much.
Yeah, no, it's a fair point on Orford. I'm not going to disagree. I don't think he's done anything wrong. I think he's just been very safe, playing sort of sideways and backwards, not wanting to make a mistake, which is kind of what James Ward-Prowse does when he's playing in midfield. He doesn't take any risks. On to the last topic to close this little chat down today, and that is, we know somebody that went to a Kevin Nolan night last night. It was a West Ham event. Kevin Nolan was a speaker. It was a public event, and he was asked about David Moyes not signing strikers. What was that all about? And apparently Moyes said to Kevin Nolan, strikers cost managers their jobs. And Nolan said that Moyes was only interested in his own career as opposed to what was right for West Ham. So it was all about him. Now, for me, this does feed into why I don't think it's right that managers should be in control of transfers. I think they should feed in, but not be in control, because they're all, no matter how nice they are, they're all ultimately going to be out for their own jobs to not get sacked. And I don't think necessarily that they should have the pressure of that. I think it should be down to the club to do player procurement. So first of all, what are your thoughts on Moyes, who willingly turned down strikers, and secondly, what are your thoughts on, we've spoken about this already, but does that kind of change your mindset as to whether or not, we should be allowing Potter to do that as well? Not just Potter, but any manager.
I think regarding Moyes, and you can't knock him for it, because West Ham especially are a club that give managers an opportunity to repair their reputation. But the game's changed now. The game's changed for players. The game has changed for managers, where it is all about themselves. It's all about the self-brand, and how they're perceived in football. So back in the day, managers was given time because they was the one that run the club, basically. Football related, it was all down to them. Now, it's changed, but Moyes obviously used West Ham, as we know, to repair his reputation. Players do the same, so I can't knock the guy for him, because at the end of the day, it's his career. So him not signing players and doing this and doing that, which wasn't the best for West Ham, doesn't surprise me, because like I say, he was just out for himself. Potter, on the other hand, as much as I think his intention is good, there is an ulterior motive with him. Of course, he needs to rebuild his reputation. Before Chelsea, he was being tipped as being the next England manager. His stock was very, very high. What happened at Chelsea ruined his reputation, and now he's had to come back and try and build it up again, which I think he will do. However, I think he's going to try and do it the right way, by being everyone's friend, he understands fans better than what Lopetegui and Moyes did. You know, he understands what we want and what we demand. So, yeah, I just think Potter is the right man moving forward. But unfortunately, our ownership, which is another conversation we'll probably have, is in the dark ages. It's still being run, and it's still being run in a way that doesn't benefit West Ham, does it? You know, it always benefits the owners' pockets.
Yeah, I agree with Adam. I think that Moyes, when he came back, yeah, that's all he majority cared about was to repair his reputation, especially after United, Sociedad, and Sunderland. He needed, if it was to go wrong at West Ham, he would have never worked again. I think he would have retired. Do I think that's right? Absolutely not. It's quite selfish, which speaks volumes to the man himself, that narcissistic prick. And then going forward with Potter, it all links back with me to the ownership. And I don't think that even if we had a director of football in place, a new one, someone like Dan Ashworth, because Macaulay ain't a director of football, he's a scout, with the ownership not pulling in the same direction of the fans and the manager and the players, it's going to go wrong no matter who you get in place as a director of football. So for me, if it's a case of Potter identifying targets of who he wants, it's on him, and then it's on the ownership to negotiate these deals, which kind of scares me because we all know what Sullivan's like with a deal. It's market trader boy, isn't he? That's where we're at.
The thing is with Moyes is that West Ham gave him the opportunity to rebuild his career. So although it might be a selfish thing that he's done, you know, he was given that chance and he took it. And if it wasn't for what he did at West Ham, you're probably right. He would have retired and he wouldn't be in charge of Everton now, you know. Regarding the ownership, I don't know if you guys have read, but there's been something come out from Lopetegui's camp that's basically trying to said that it doesn't matter who's in charge of West Ham. Obviously, he was referring to Potter, but whether it's Potter and someone else or whoever it may be, it stemmed from the top. The problem is at the top, and he's obviously referring to Sullivan and Brady. Now, we know the situation to an extent. We know that that's where the problem lies. Now his kind of camp have come out and said that, whether that's come directly from him or speaking amongst his spokespersons, he knows that the problem with West Ham is our ownership, and until we get new ownership, we are never going to be able to do anything with the club. We're not going to be able to move forward. You know, it's all false promises all the time, and it just stinks. It does my head in. It was bad enough having shit managers like Lopetegui and Moyes. But what makes it worse is we've got a really good coach now who can take us forward, yet we're being held back by the club's own owners, which is a ridiculous thing, but that's the reality.
I mean, the thing is with Moyes as well, this is my problem, is that I can understand that kind of, you know, you've got to look after your job. But at that time, in that transfer window, we was fourth in the league. We was in Europe. We was flying. Why would he not have wanted a striker? Because us going out and getting that Martinez player, Alvarez player, who was on offer for 12 million, that's not a big risk. He wouldn't have got sacked off the back of that failing. You see, it isn't that. I disagree with Nolan because, you know, I talked to the guys at SportsX. Well, these guys have been offering West Ham players for an awful long time. And he said categorically, he said that, for instance, that Alvarez player, Moyes turned that player down flat. He was offered him 3 times. He turned him down flat, said he's not good enough. He'd done that on several occasions, and it was down to who was representing that player. Because Moyes likes to work with certain people. He likes to get his own intermediaries involved in deals. Now he's gone to Everton. He's basically must have kept a list of these players because he's going after virtually all of the players that he turned down for West Ham. So I think there's more to it than that. I do believe that there is, I'm going to say it, I think there's some corruption involved across the board. Look at the deal with Virgil, which was done with his brother-in-law. I think it stinks. It does.
It isn't about him looking after his career, because at that time he was flying. You know, he could have gone and got us a striker that would have pushed him even further and given him even more credibility. If anything, not acting was the wrong thing for to do. And he's had a few opportunities like that, and he did it at Everton as well. If you listen to the Grizzles from Everton when he was there for 8 years, it was always we were so close so many times, but we just needed this player, and Moyes wouldn't go and do it. I think a lot of it comes down to who represents players that he's bringing in. That's why he likes full control. He does, because he gets involved in deals, and when you get involved in deals, you're a financial beneficiary of said deals.
You know, it wouldn't surprise me if, like you say, he's kept these list of players that was offered to him, and then he's gone to the board at Everton and said, look, what about, I've got these players here that I think will do good, blah, blah, blah. So he gets the credit for it. Do you know what I mean? It wouldn't surprise me with the type of ego that he's got that he would want to take full credit for these players.
Lads, just dropped off at Heathrow Terminal 5. Don't tell the missus, you know what I mean? Yeah, didn't it? But why would you not want a striker when you're crying out for a striker to score your goals, to potentially push you further up the league, and be more successful, and repair your reputation even further? I mean, I'm not saying I agree with Nick, but it does make you start to wonder, well, yeah, maybe he's not getting players that he can't financially benefit from, which is fucking ridiculous. Look, you know, who fucking knows? I mean, we've had our fair few strikers over the years, haven't we? I mean, probably the best one was Benny McCarthy. He had a fatter ass than Nick.
Of course it is, mate. Look how he acted with players that he didn't bring in. You know, if it was a Ben Rama or a Sullivan signing or something like that, it weren't because they was no good for the club. It's because he weren't involved in the transaction. That's what it is. Honestly, he's as fucking dodgy as the rest of them, that bloke. I'll have you know that my arse is the one part of my body that isn't fat. It's a family trait. Got ironing board arses.
I'll have you know that Jordan Hugo is tearing it up currently at Rotherham United. So maybe Moyes was right. You lot should give him a chance.
Fuck me, look, Mickey's recording. He must have been having one of them long baths again.
Get the darts out the dartboard. He hit double 20. He called the fire brigade so you could get a ladder up there.
He's still fucking recording. Jesus Christ, look, he's making up for it.
Sorry, people. I took the dog out for a walk, or the dog's out for a walk. Beautiful day. So I missed loads of this chat, so I'm just catching up on the last couple. Look, for me, with the striker situation and buying players and that, me and John actually had a sort of, say, a debate, but I think a lot of it, I don't really see. I think if you offer the opportunity for a manager to buy more players, I think they'll take it. I think they do, especially if you haven't got the squad. So I think it goes a bit deeper than that. I do blame Sullivan and the board for whatever capacity of not getting signings over the line. Nolan, I said about me and John had the talk. I was talking about Potter, and you know him saying about he's happy with the squad that he's got. I'm not saying he ain't, but I think that he would have definitely liked more players in. I genuinely do believe that, but for whatever reason, they wasn't brought in. And I still think the same with most managers. I think that not only, not to single Moyes out at all, but you can see that with the history of other managers that we've had as well. I think it's only sort of Pellegrini really that got the players that he wanted. And they backed him. I think there's just more to it. I think it's easy to say, oh, a manager didn't want to sign a striker because he was worried to lose his job and that. I think also at that time, Moyes was safe as asses with Sullivan. How many times did he have the opportunity to get rid of him and didn't because he stayed loyal to Moyes for whatever reason? I don't know. I just think that it's a simple throwaway comment, and I'll always think that there's a bit more to it than that. A lot more to it behind in the back room. But that's my thoughts on it anyway.
Mate, they completely backed Moyes. Literally spent £500 million on him. He's had more money spent on him than the last 3 managers collectively. In fact, they even let him have Calvin Phillips, which is the one that eventually basically got him sacked because he was told if that happens, he was pushing that one through. I wonder why he was pushing that one through. I wonder. Wonder if he knew the agent. But anyway, he's fucking dirty, mate. He's dirty. Dirty bastard.
A H in the word houses, don't you? Not houses. It's houses, not houses. You always end up talking about Moyes, don't you? It's like you had a relationship and he cheated on you, and you don't want him, but you don't want anyone else to have him, and you always think, wonder what David's doing now. I wonder who David's with now. Oh, I miss him, but I don't miss him.
What John was talking about, people, was Micky placed 3 darts in the triple 20, took a photo of it and said, I just come home from work, threw 3 darts, got 180. Fucking liar. Absolute. I've never thrown a 180 in my life. There's no way he's done that.
Well, I see John's trying to show off, try and get laughs. Please laugh at him. No, mate, I'm in East London. We don't say our H's. Who do you think you are? Who the fuck do you think you are? No, look, listen, Moyes did get back massively. But I'm saying to you, but look over the transfer windows as well with Moyes. Also, that there was players that we was linked to and didn't get. Moyes come out himself, right? We all said about when he come out and said he didn't want no more players. Do you remember? And we said he took the full blame for that window. He took the full blame off of Sullivan and that. We all said it. So there is still an element of the board interfering and not buying players for whatever reason. You know what I mean? I don't know what the reasons are because we needed players at the time and we didn't get them. So, yeah, I think there's an element of it in every single manager they've had. Like I said, the only one I can think of was Pellegrini, who I don't really remember them sort of backing out of a transfer that we was linked with. That's the only one I can't remember. And people, my dad's grave. I don't know why they always make me say this. My dad's grave got 180. These are fucking haters. Don't worry about these two. These think that you think these are nice people. They're fucking haters.
Mick, he said it in a podcast. He done the director of a CEO podcast himself and came out and even listed the players that he turned down. He did it himself. This was a year, 2 years later. He said he had full control and he had chances to buy players and he didn't want to buy them because he thought Antonio was enough. It was him.
And the reason why Nick's never got 180 because he throws like a fucking gill. I know he said it in a podcast. I know that, but I'm saying to you, we also said, you got to remember what we said. When he come out and said about that he was in, we didn't want to sign players, and we're like, oh, he's just a mouthpiece for the board. So what one is it then? Because you can't say one thing and then mean another. So he said that about that player. Yes, he did. There's no doubt that he turned down a player. Every manager will turn down a player. Look at Harry Redknapp. He turned down fucking Neymar, supposedly. Do you know what I mean? Other people. So managers will turn players down. But also, this board, Sullivan, is shy of buying certain players for certain reasons at certain times.
I always go for power on darts. I like to fucking bury the whole dart into the yeah, I do. I have to fucking proper. I use my whole arm when I'm throwing darts. Well, I know that's what we said, but we know what one it is now because David Moyes confirmed what it is 2 years later. So he came out and took full responsibility, and then he clarified it 2 years later. He did. So we know what one it is. Is he fucking fault? Numbnuts.
John just deleted a message. I don't know why. It was quite a good message. Probably the best message he's done on there, to be fair.
Stop talking about Moyes, mate. He's flying at Everton, that lad. Yeah? You get him into Europe. And whose fault's that? Be careful what you wish for.
You ever got me for not saying me H's and then you keep saying lad? What, you fucking scouser there? What's going on, John? Are you like Everton supporter? You follow Moyes, lad?
I know. That's the Essex in him. He's moved out to Essex now, isn't he?
is that he started saying lad a lot. I fucking hate that. I had a go at someone the other day for calling me lad. I think that's the only reason he does it. He certainly ain't a fucking lad. Tart. Anyway, on that note, because I think we're going off piste, I'm bored of talking about Moyes. John just won't fucking stop talking about him. So that's it. That closes it. Thank you very much, everyone. Jordan and Adam for today. Mick, thanks for popping in at the end, mate. Nice to have you. Nice to have you. Yeah, we'll get this sent out, and we'll be doing the next one in a few days. Good idea, John. Good idea, mate.